This year is the year of stability for React Native.
You had a session. I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, surprisingly. Yeah.
Surprise session.
I found out I was doing the session a minute before I did it.
We are opening a new recruitment position, read the whole repository for issues. We don't want 1.0 to be just like a marketing thing and like nothing changes under the hood, like nothing major.
Because the libraries don't exist because no one uses it, and no one uses it because there's no libraries.
Right. Yeah.
React Universe on Air, your go-to podcast for all things cross-platform.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to React Universe on Air podcast. And today we are recording live from React Universe Conf that's happening in Wrocław. Today is 3rd of September 2025. And just yesterday, we wrapped up the Core Contributor Summit. We usually organize this summit right before the conference, and it's a good place for community to come together and just like discuss some of the more strategic topics around React Native and whole ecosystem. And to discuss this, I invited people who are not from those big companies like Meta or Microsoft, but people who are really embedded in community and that they're doing a lot of community work. So hello guys, good to have you here. I want to introduce you by your first name and by the things that people might know you from. So Thibault is known for his work at Releases and WebView. Joel is known as Labrador. Yeah, sorry for that. And by his work at Performance. And Jay is known as Jay Legend from Legend List and Legend State and all Legend related. If I missed something or you want to correct me on pronunciation, go ahead, Thibault.
No, it's all good. Like you say Thibault, as a French guy would say.
Okay, thank you.
All good. I think maybe some people know me more from vector icons and Kishin as well.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, very latent, obviously. So this is not an interview. I'm not going to be interviewing you guys. I just want to like chat about Core Contributors Summit in general, like how many you attended in the past, like what were the highlights from the past ones, what can we as community expect from those kinds of discussions that happens live, and then maybe touch on some subjects that we discussed yesterday. So who wants to start and like explain the whole concept of us getting together, like 40 people in one room, I guess, yesterday, and like people from community and people from Meta, from Microsoft, from Expo, from CoStack, from Subdimension. Just like Core Contributor Summit in general.
Yeah, I mean, I can start. I'm not sure which year it was first called like Core Contributor Summit, because I think like the first event I went, which was this kind of thing, was 2017, and it was in London, in Meta's office, where they invited a bunch of people, and that's where we drafted the first version of auto-linking, actually.
Whoa.
And we were like 15 people, I think, and so it was nice because from outside of Meta, it was nice to see the inside of like such a big company, how they work, how they use React Native and like get more insights. So that was super cool. And it was the occasion to meet and discuss like what are the biggest pains, what are like your current issues, and linking at the time was pretty bad. So that's how we got to create that. And
I just had a conversation with Vladimir, and he told me something that like really paints a nice picture of why we need those kind of meetings. Of course, like we also communicate on GitHub and in issues and in RFCs, but he said that like Meta and like Microsoft, I guess as well, they use React Native completely differently than all the other people in community. Like in community, people just tend to like start a new project, probably with Expo, and then just like go ahead with their lives with Greenfield project. Microsoft only exclusively using Brownfield, I guess. That's what I got from yesterday. And then Meta is using a completely different React Native than anyone else because they just use it from main branch and not from releases at all. And he said that if we left the managerial process of managing React Native only to Meta, it's like a shoe salesman that doesn't wear shoes. right? So they don't know our pain points. And that's why we need to come together sometimes and just collaborate and figure out what are the different opinions about some things. And yeah, I'm not sure if they even needed the auto-linking, right?
Yeah, I mean, they have completely different build process and all their libraries are in-house.
Yeah, so they don't use open source at all.
They use a few libraries. I know they use WebView, but usually what they do is they import it, and from time to time they update. They don't really consume stuff on the outside.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a good example of this as well. So at Meta, they use Flow.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, some people use it, but
I almost forgot about it.
yeah. But so like if you want to build some like more modern tooling on top of React Native, you quite quickly turn into this that like nothing that's written in like Go or Rust or whatever actually handles Flow or even wants to. So if you want to use like SWC for Jest or whatever, it's like impossible. If you want to use more modern bundler like EaseBuild or whatever, either you need to like build something on top of it, or I think what the common thing is like using like some regex that if it looks like React Native, then you use Bob or whatever. But then like we just started talking with the guy from Meta about these issues, and they were like oblivious to it. And then I started with Rob, and then my old colleague joined, and they continued talking, and then I went to another session. And then when I came back, it was like, oh, now we have a React Native without flow types. It was like, oh, and it wouldn't have happened without this kind of discussion. I think.
Yeah, because like if you live in your own bubble and then you use only your own ecosystem tools, and even if you hear some opinions from outside the bubble, you don't know how prevalent it is, how needed it is in community. So only here so as Callstack, as Software mentioned, we come with the experience of our clients. And we know what our like enterprise clients, mid-sized clients really need React Native to become to like be considered stable and like safe for production. So yeah, Flow is a good example, I think. And also like going back to the first keynote talk today at React Universe Conf. This year is the year of stability for React Native. So I guess like this flow discussion ties into this a little bit, because if the surface area of React Native API is smaller and it's meant to be consumed with TypeScript types, that's much easier for everyone in the community to understand what's the surface area of React Native actually is. What do we as community should consume and what we should not hook into. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the tooling is completely different. Even like, I mean, Flow makes sense for Meta because they can handcraft it to like do some crazy stuff internally, but it's stuff that would never work for like everyone else. So I understand why there's this split, and it's great that they made this effort of building this converter for the new strict TypeScript API that basically builds TypeScript from their flow types, but they have to manage like to make it compliant. So that's pretty great.
I guess like that's also a reason why, one of the reasons probably why the new architecture took so long, right? Because like they had, I think they talked from 3 or 4 years ago. They said that we already rewrote like 1,000 surfaces of Facebook app into new architecture, but we all use Flow. So we don't know how it's going to work for all of you in the community with the code gen and et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. Jay, you are quiet. Maybe you can talk about some things.
You had a session. I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, surprisingly. Yeah.
Surprise session?
I found out I was doing the session a minute before I did it.
So usually there is an agenda for those meetings, and we have like 2 tracks, 3 tracks, several different workshop groups, and sometimes the agenda is really spelled out for the particular workshop session. Someone comes in with the RFC or with some idea, and then what could be the outcome of those kind of sessions afterwards?
Well, I just wanted to talk about desktop apps. Mm-hmm. And so I just got on the little stage and just tried to start a conversation about React Native on Mac and Windows is really good, but it has a lot of rough edges. It's hard to get started with. So how do we make that easier?
Yeah.
Need to get Microsoft and Expo and Meta to kind of all get together and work on it.
And like it's a great example of interests that are not aligned in the React Native community, because like it's so funny that Microsoft actually invested a lot in React Native macOS, and like this library is really powerful. It shares a lot of internals with iOS part of React Native, and they made it because it made sense for them because they use React Native in Office and Windows and stuff, etc., etc. But when the interests are not aligned, is that they are not using this library to just start regular apps from scratch, which you did.
Yeah. And most people don't really know that you can. I had seen talks from Microsoft talking about macOS and Windows, but I thought it was just they're doing it internally. That's kind of cool. And then I just played with it, and it was incredible. And why isn't everyone doing this? It's so good. But there's some rough edges and whatnot.
Do you want to do a PSA for all of our listeners and viewers that they should start using React Native Windows and React Native macOS, and then they should, I don't want to fix it, but like at least voice their opinions and just let us know what they're missing. What are their use cases?
Yeah, so I think React Native macOS and Windows are, well, I've mostly played with the macOS side, but I think it's better than native apps. Like the apps I've made with it start up faster than native apps. They're very fast. But there's not a lot of community investment in the libraries. Expo somewhat works, but not entirely. So I think if you're building a desktop app, try it in React Native. It's incredible. But if you have any issues, let's all work together to make it really good.
I guess like partly a chicken and egg problem as well.
Yeah.
So.
Because the libraries don't exist because no one uses it, and no one uses it because there's no libraries.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of libraries that work. Just some maybe need to change a pod spec from iOS to Apple, and then it works. So there's not a huge amount of changes sometimes, but yeah, it's very good.
Well, I'm not convinced because like yesterday in that room, the feeling that I got is that they haven't thought about it in this way, right? Because it doesn't make sense for them right now. So like there needs to be a demand, like you said, for those kind of use cases, for not even the big players like Meta and Microsoft, but like few people from community. I think, so how, maybe like about the performance library, how did you start that project? Like, was it because of the need you have, or was it because you just wanted to give something to the community?
Well, I wish I was that like altruistic, but yeah, no, it's always from an own need.
Yeah.
And I guess like that's usually how things work in these kind of settings. Like you see these big companies like Meta and Microsoft doing things, but quite often it's like it starts with something. The community builds out and builds more use cases and they builds up an ecosystem, and then the bigger guys can enter because like there's like a something to build on top of, unless they created it themselves, like Meta in this case.
Yeah. So what we are looking for is a big player is not a good word, but like the application that has a use case for a native desktop experience, and they want to try it out in React Native. And I guess like if you start using it, we can like chip in and help.
Yeah, I think you need someone who's like a bit passionate about it.
Yeah,
that will like make things happen in these libraries.
I mean, you could also have someone who already has a React Native app and a desktop app,
right,
and it's not using desktop. That would be a good player. I mean, I don't think Discord's using macOS, and they could, because I know iOS and Android are using React Native. So that would be like the size of company that has the potential to do it and the capacity to do it, and it would be nice.
But also the surface area of Discord is huge.
Yeah,
but like, yeah, we could probably just like port this up to be like in vertical state at the beginning, and then just like gradually make it wider.
Yeah,
day by day.
You can do pieces at a time. Make the shell in React Native, make the sidebar, use the web view for the rest of it.
Yeah.
And then kind of migrate things over.
Yeah. Discord, reach out to us. We can help you out.
But I guess there's also other issues like the desktops platforms are mostly around Windows and Mac OS, and there's like Linux and this kind of thing. So if you have a very wide target audience, then it might still make sense.
Yeah, that's actually correct. Yeah.
And I think if you see also like on iOS, the amount of apps that you see on for iPhone versus even iPad or Mac OS is quite different.
Yeah.
Even though like the migration path from like iOS to Mac OS is a lot easier than going for React Native Mac OS.
Yeah, I mean, macOS literally boots your iOS apps if you want. So
That also, yeah.
and it works quite well. So it's a good thing.
So like the
But
desktop,
it does that because people don't do it, right?
Yeah.
So like there's like some hurdles to overcome. Like I think that there's not enough maybe demand from users. Like they're maybe more okay with a slightly less good experience on desktop. Like Gmail, one of the most used apps in the world, like still only on
web.
On web, yeah.
going back to like contributor summits in general, example you just gave, the desktop, React Native desktop platforms, is the example of you coming in, speaking with 40 people from like different backgrounds, different perspective, and asking about their opinions. And like, really nothing came out of it yesterday. There are no concrete action items, but I guess like this just like planted the seed, and then people in their own communities will start thinking about it. Should we do something about it? Can we make it work? And then when we meet maybe like 2 months from now or a year from now, maybe the position of those companies will shift, right? Mm-hmm. But there are other examples, like you said with the flow types, that the decisions are actually made on the spot, and then someone takes the concrete action item, and we have something from it.
Yeah. So like one example was so your company released Rosenite,
yes,
quite recently, like 2 weeks ago or something.
Probably a month, yeah.
Yeah.
Like that.
Well, I've known about it for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And they were like, we had a session about this and the debugger in general, or DevTools, and there were a lot of like questions and discussion points. And then at the end, there was like, what's the vision for Rosenite? What's the vision from the
debugger perspective? Yeah.
On Meta, and then originally didn't align. Like, these are principles. This is like what we achieve, and then eventually they showed a bit of what they're planning and what they're working on right now, and then there was a pretty solid consensus of like, oh, this is our scope. This is what you can do. This is what you shouldn't do, and then it was quite effective in that matter. So like a very, very concrete outcomes.
Yeah. So like to give you some like background on this, when we started creating Rosenite, it's not like we went to Meta and asked, can we please do it? Right? Like we have one guy sitting for like a few days straight, just like hacking this, and like it looks great. It requires a lot of hacking. It requires a lot of like plugging into internals that's really not safe. And then like we come into those kind of meetings and say, so this is how we do it. You probably already saw it, but like this is our stance. We want to improve it. We want to make it better. Like, what are your plans? So the ground is not shifted below us, right?
Yeah.
And then like you said, Meta said, okay, so this is our roadmap for this. And yeah, then we take this into account when we plan the next stages for Resonate.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty great that I think that the community can fill the gaps left by Meta. I remember there was one guy from the DevX team.
Alex?
No. Something with, no. It was, I'm not sure if it's there, because he reached out to me 2 years ago about like what their roadmap was and how that would integrate with my libraries and stuff like that. And I think we were like super aligned on the vision. But what he presented, or like what we agreed upon, still hasn't shipped.
Okay.
So
Takes time.
It takes time, but also like it's because they have this vision, and it's like, oh, well, we have because we have this Chrome like remote debugging, whatever it's called.
Yeah, like a protocol or something.
And this was killed for understandable reasons, but And that was like 3 years ago or something. And during this time until now, there's been no good ways to deal with this. And there was like Flipper, and Flipper's dead. Flipper was never that amazing. So like doing these things like Rosenite also like makes it like it's like super apparent that this is like a major need from the community, and maybe that makes it like slightly higher in the priority order, maybe.
I think like the bigger point you're making is like it's good to know the bigger picture, the broader scope, even if that broader scope is like 2 years ahead, so that you can plan ahead and you can like figure out what are the connection points between your library, between what you're doing, and like the main framework, the core functionality of React Native.
Another example of gap that was filled by community was like the network inspector, for example. Right now, it's the one from Expo, and it's not working 100% of the time, but it's doing its job most of the time. And we know Meta is going to do one. We know it's going to be more stable and better. But in the meantime, we have something to work with.
Yeah,
and it's good because there's a clear communication between Meta and Expo about that. And once Meta is ready to ship the better one, then it's just going to replace the other one.
But I also feel that like companies like Expo and Meta, they collaborate with each other much more closely than like collaborate with community. I'm not saying that collaboration between community and Expo and Meta is not there, because it is. But like even if you look at the recent example from recent React Native, like they shipped pre-compiled iOS together, right? So like they had to spend weeks and weeks or months working on this really closely together in order for this to ship in React Native. And then like week after React Native shipped, they shipped the SDK 54 beta with that included as well. Yeah.
I mean, the team that does open source at Meta is pretty small. So when you have someone like Expo that's like, I can put a lot of people on this to help you, right? I mean, who wouldn't agree to do that, right?
Yeah.
It's a good investment, like working with some agencies that want to like contribute to open source. I think it's great. And it's not that they're close, as it not, they're not discussing with like more individuals, but it's just like the impact you can have when you have a lot of developers is very big.
You reminded me about something that I've heard time and time again on those kind of meetings. When we talk with people from Meta, Microsoft, they, like you said, they have small teams, and their most important client for that team, for that React Native core team, is their own company.
Yeah.
So they have requests from different teams within their company asking them to either fix something or make something possible. And like community is served as well, but like we are not the most important for those teams there. So like we have to do our work as well, and like we have to steer that framework to where we want it to be.
I mean, I think it's not that bad actually, because some companies, they do open source more for like, I don't know, hiring purposes or more like PR reasons. And then once there's like some the market goes down, or like someone changes in the leadership team where it's like less prone to do open source, whatever, then it gets cut. And this happened to many companies. But if they do all this work for internal need, then you can kind of count on this being more sustainable.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point.
So I mean, there's still stuff I want to see from Meta, but I think I prefer this over the alternative, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, to me, what's important is like collaboration and communication about it. As long as we can talk, and they're not blocking us for like implementing TypeScript support, and they haven't guide us, but they're like, we don't need it. So if you want it, you should do it this way, but you should do it. And it's a very healthy way of actually like
Really upfront.
Yeah.
So
that was exactly the issue with the Node API.
Yeah, exactly.
Discussion. Yeah.
It's like we don't use it, but happy to have it. And you should implement it like this. Yeah.
I think that's one of the nice things about that contributor summit is I feel like Meta and the bigger companies talk fairly often, but then it's cool that they bring in just individual people who have different experiences, different views to have a real good discussion. I've had a few conversations with Meta here and there about list things, but it's cool to just get everybody in a room and just talk it all out.
and like listen to all of the priorities that people have. Like priorities from Costak perspective is our libraries work, because like you said, like the open source that software house, like consultancies do, like us, Costak and Software Mention, we are not doing this for altruistic reasons, honestly. Like we don't, I'm not sure if we do it for marketing. Our clients use our libraries. So like this is a way for us to really make React Native better, so that people hire us to do React Native for them, basically. And like Software Mention has a lot of like awesome libraries, like reanimated worklets now that are really powerful. We are coming up with the Rock for enterprises. So we are like positioning ourselves like right next to Expo, but for some other use cases. Today, Michał on stage said that we are not trying to compete directly with Expo, because like Expo's client base is a little bit different than ours. Like we want to enable React Native for all of those others like use cases. So we want to be in the room and like speak with you about the like legend lists and stuff like that. So like we can make the next, what was it? Like next billion devices online with React Native. That's all. Let's go to one subject. So core contributor summits, those are, it's not a secret, but it's not a really open discussion that we can discuss about everything that was said there and agreed. I have a permission from Nicola to talk vaguely about React Native 1.0. So I want to get some of your opinions about React Native 1.0. This was a subject that is brought up again and again.
Every year.
Yeah. I think, again, with interests, it's not important for Meta, this number. Who this number is important to is maybe some decision makers, maybe some like community members that are just starting to use React Native, and maybe they are not aware how amazing it is already, and they just need this number.
I mean, to me, this number is a way to reassure people who don't know about React Native that it's stable. Or what's interesting me personally about it is like what's behind it. So what do we consider 1.0? And this is a like major point of discussion when we talk about 1.0. It's like, what do you think is 1.0? And everyone in the room has a slightly different point of view about that.
Yes.
So you can see like everyone's interests are like a little bit different. And I mean, that's...
Because like, we don't want 1.0 to be just like a marketing thing and like nothing changes under the hood, like nothing major. We are already like releasing every second month. So that's great. And like the faster releases are great. But like 1.0, like in my mind, should be something that marks the date that something major is shifting, right? Like something happens that from now on, we won't have 2.0 in the next 2 months. We will be on the 1 point something for the like foreseeable future. So this is coming. And I guess someone on the stage will be talking about that as well. But like, we don't know when is it coming and like what that indicates, what that number actually indicates.
Yeah. I mean, we have like a number of things of projects that we discussed that like we think are good to go in the direction of 1.0.
Yeah, candidates for being that shift.
Yeah, exactly. And when I see everything like lists, I don't really care about 1.0 anymore. But if all those things are done, I'm happy, you know?
Oh yeah, definitely. So it's more important what's under the hood than like the number on top of the hood.
Just making things stable, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What are some other topics and like kinds maybe of topics that you guys were involved in either this year, yesterday, or maybe a year ago or in the past?
Yesterday we talked a fair bit about developer experience with Alex and Rob. It was good to see insight because there was discussion about logs in the console or not and stuff like that, which was like interesting. Like everyone in the end had the same vision, but like the way to go there and like what we can do to make it a little bit better for everyone right now was like one of the big discussion points. But it was interesting to see like we really don't have the same pain every day. Like everyone has in the room, like everyone was like, I need this, I need that, but it's very different for everyone. So it was a good discussion, and in the end, everyone agrees on the bigger picture, which is, I think, is the most important thing. So this way, if you want to contribute, you know in which direction you need to go, and you know where it's going. And if you want to make things faster, you can help.
Okay.
There was one session I wasn't part of, but that's really close to my heart, and that's Swift support. Were either of you in that one?
Yeah,
I went. Yeah.
I went to that one. This is a kind of session that so it was Oscar and Ricardo, and they came prepared. Like they had actually like bullet points, the things that they want to discuss. So like there were a whole list of bullet points, and like during the discussion, they were making notes on that list so that everyone could see like where we are on the list. And like, okay, so like some headers for C++, and they like the agreements were happening like in real life. And like we know that this support is coming to modernize the tech stack of React Native. The template is already in Swift. Yeah. We know that the Cocoa Pods are deprecated, and this will be switched at some point to Swift Package Manager. So like, this is one of the topics that has a clear path. Like, we will be doing this. Give us your opinions about how we should do it, because this is landing. So like, we need that. The topic about desktop is something, what are we doing about it? And everyone is like, we don't know if we are doing this. So like the two categories, right?
One topic that was interesting last year was Nitro modules. Like discussing whether they should be part of core or not, and like this kind of how can we make it so that we upstream most of its advantages into React Native if we can, or should it be kept separate to be able to iterate and to keep like some key differences with React Native implementation. And this kind of discussion, like I'm using these internals, but I want to like do things cleanly. That was super interesting, and when we see the talk from Mark today, was really like you can see that now it's pretty stable, and it's all because of these kind of discussions.
I'm writing Swift in
and
Nitro is like a dream.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Nitro modules already have Swift and Kotlin support. So,
but again, like I don't imagine that Meta internally would be using Nitro modules anytime or ever, right? Because like they created turbo modules. Because they fit their internal needs.
And so the thing is, like, they write everything with turbo modules right now. So they cannot be like, okay, this is better and let's switch, because it would internally mean they have to switch like thousands of modules, which makes no sense for them because it's working right now. So you also have to think of like the cost of like changing these kind of things, which for us seems like, okay, let's do it. You don't see why you wouldn't change. And
even if you have like code bases that like 50 people work on and like are huge, but like it's much easier to like shift the direction to some other like library or technology than like shifting something at the scale of Meta and their ecosystem.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Maybe wrapping up, I have a last question to all of you. If someone watching us right now, wants to get into those kind of meetings, like how should they start contributing to React Native, contributing to the discussion and contributing to the community, to the whole ecosystem, in order to like be invited to like this forum? What did you do? Like, when did you get first invited?
I got invited very early on in Meta's office in 2017. The call stack in 2018, because I was presenting a talk about WebView, and so because this is always before it was React Native Europe, but it was like just before, the day before, so we met, and I don't think it was called like Core Contributor Summit or something. And then it kept happening every year, and we see the value it has. So I think to get in, like, it's more about like, you need to be able to discuss the things that we do. So you need to either maintain a library or be a consultancy or like this kind of things and be involved in the community. If you cannot come out of nowhere and be like, I want to be part of this. But at the same time, like I'm working for a small French company and I'm here. So it's just be involved, try to do a lot of things, talk with people, go to conferences because you're going to meet people, you're going to discuss with people and show that you're interested.
So Jay, maybe like from the whole like React Native ecosystem, if you were to start a new library right now that will have a big impact, that's not called legend something, what would it be so someone can steal your idea and like just build it?
Oh, I don't know. I think, find the thing that is hard in React Native. I think the one thing on my mind that's still hard is text input. If someone can solve that, that would be great. But yeah, I think if you find a pain point in your projects, try to solve it, open source it. Maybe it'll help everyone else. Okay.
There's also like this RFC repo where a lot of discussion happening about architecture in general. So that's a good place
to like know this bigger picture.
Right. Or I mean, one is starting to like read about what's happening and why and stuff like that. And then once you got the context, you can start contribute as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, just going through issues on the repos, like you go to React Native, you see issues, you help, like someone who would read all the issue would be like a great asset to have in this kind of like summit, because knowing
that's a shortcut.
Like knowing that is every issue for the past 6 months and being able to summarize it and being like, I know what the pains of community are. Like this is a kind of insight that we need.
We are opening a new recruitment position. Read the whole repository for issues. I want to wrap up right now. Thank you so much for yesterday. I had such a good time at the Core Contributor Summit as well. And for speaking with me today. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
Thanks for organizing.
Thanks.